Ah, yes, I think it's about time I take after my friendly neighbor to the south and react to some subreddits. Yokosu minasan, it's Koru here, Shogun of Shinshoku, and today we're gonna be taking a look at the Ronu subreddit. Yeah, basically I'm going to be reacting here. And before we start, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot and it lets me know that you want more of this. So, let's go, shall we? This is a map of the largest religion in every American county. So, for where I live, it's actually mostly Catholic here in Oregon. It seems this is just counting Christianity, which is weird. I guess not counting foreign religions. Baptists throughout the South, yeah, I could have expected that. Lutherans up in like Minnesota and the Dakotas. I guess that's due to like all the Nordic and German influence up here. Probably why there's also some in Wisconsin. Methodists sprinkle throughout like kind of the bordering regions between what is considered the South and the North. Then Mormons, yeah, of course all of Utah is majority Mormon, but then you also got a lot of Idaho, western Wyoming, and then some random provinces sprinkled throughout Arizona, Nevada, and even some bits of Colorado. And we even have some provinces that are Mormon here in northeastern Oregon too. That's interesting. Church of Christ, I have no idea what that is, but it looks like it's mostly just Indiana and some other random pockets. Reformed, which looks like it's just a couple provinces in Iowa and Michigan. Maybe some sprinkled out that I'm not seeing. And then Eastern Orthodox, which looks like it's mostly just in Alaska. So yeah, this is a very interesting breakdown. Like, of course, it seems the majority of the country is either Baptist or Catholic, but then you got some interesting pockets here and there of different religions. Of course, like the Eastern Orthodox from Russian influence, you got the Lutherans from German and Scandinavian influence, you got the Mormons, of course, but I'm not sure where the Methodists come from. Who bought over the Methodism? I don't really know. This is a map of what word appears most in each country's respective Wikipedia articles. So for China, it's dynasty, and for, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Russia, Soviet is not too surprising, but then war for the U.S. I mean, we were kind of involved in a lot of wars. Quebec for Canada. I honestly don't know why. Kind of ironic, but okay. Indigenous, yeah, Aztec probably. Portuguese for Brazil. They were the major Portuguese colonies, so yeah. La Paz for the capital of Bolivia. That's really it. Same with Argentina. They also just have their capitals, the most common appearance. Spanish for Peru. Yeah, I mean, the Spanish did quite a bit here in Peru. We all know how much they love that silver. Sadly, Japan's too blurry. I think that says world. We got a swap here in the Korean Peninsula, though, which is south and north. China for Taiwan. Java for Indonesia, literally just the word state for Malaysia. Got South for India. I guess there was a lot more happening in South India or something. I don't know. Kabul in Afghans. King in Saudi Arabia. Of course, we got our favorite Libyan dictator, Gaddafi. I'm not praising him. I'm just saying he's the most well known. But yeah, there's a lot here. And then of course you have a lot of like world. You have a lot of people that are just world. France, Germany, Japan. I think Italy too. War for the Spain too. I think that does that say Lisbon for Portugal and then England for just the UK. Pretty interesting map. A lot of them are just like countries, some are just, like directions, others are just like, random previous dynasties or whatever. It's interesting to see. New for Australia, just new island for New Zealand. We could go on all day, but I think it's about time we get to the next one. This is a map of the percentage of iPhone users in September of 2022. So, yeah, you got, of course, Norway and Denmark. They're pretty high up there. Not surprising. They are pretty rich countries. Even Sweden and UK are pretty high. Most of Central and Eastern Europe doesn't have many iPhones, although randomly Albania has quite a bit. I think that it's about this color. So 50 to 60% of the population has iPhones. Why? Why is Albania that much richer than most of their neighbors and I just had no idea about it? I don't know. But I guess Skanderbeer would probably be happy to see the country rich enough to afford something like this. Spain and Portugal, interestingly enough, don't have much, even though most of Western Europe does. Then again, I'm pretty sure Spain's economy is struggling quite a bit, so, yeah. This is a map of the type of meat consumed by country. what country consumes the most of a type of meat. So we have bovine meat, so I guess basically just like cows. We have them in Argentina and Paraguay, which Argentina has the most consumption of cows. And for pig, we have Hong Kong, which is interesting, but I guess seafood is very common here too. Mutton and goat meat, which of course you can see mostly throughout like Muslim countries. I've heard lamb is usually the replacement for pork in most Muslim countries. But then, weirdly enough, you have Mongolia and Nepal kind of joining the mutton and goat field. Like, Mongolia, I cannot understand because they're very nomadic people, but Nepal? Really? Why Nepal? What? But then, of course, you have Mongolia, which, of course, is mutton and goat. It's the leader in mutton and goat consumption. You have Iceland, which is the most by fish and seafood, which, of course, is shared by 56 countries. Apparently, most countries share poultry meat, so I guess chicken. So St. Vincent and the Grenadines is the leader in poultry consumption. Just some random ass island in the middle of the Caribbean, apparently. And then other meat, which I hope you're not eating rabbit. Please tell me that countries aren't eating rabbit very commonly. Because it worries me that you use a rabbit to represent other meats. Like, why? Why? Like, what's the other meat? Yeah, Papua New Guinea is classified under other meats. Yeah, I hate to, I don't think I want to know what they're eating instead, considering their history, but, yeah, but of course, for bovine meat, you have Argentina, Zimbabwe, the US, Australia, and Brazil in the top 5. For pork and pig meat, you have Hong Kong, Poland, Spain, Lithuania, and Croatia. And then for mutton and goat, you have Mongolia, Iceland, Bahrain, Turkmenistan, and Chad. Poultry meat, you have St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Israel, Samoa, Trinidad and Tobago, Antigua and Barbuda. Why just some random island nations? I guess chickens don't really take much land or resources. That might be why so many of these tiny islands are taking poultry. And then for fish and seafood, you have Iceland, Maldives, Macau, Kiribati, and Hong Kong, which I guess these are mostly coastal places, so it makes sense. Other meat, you have Papua New Guinea, Mongolia, Gabon, Botswana, Congo, which is interesting. Total meat consumption. Apparently Hong Kong consumes the most meat by far. You have Iceland, Macau, Nauru, and the US consuming all types of meat the most. Just generally meat, consuming a lot of it. It's insane to me. Like, these are just some random countries I never really would expect to lead out in certain fields. Like, some of these I can expect, like Mongolia for mutton and goat meat, I could definitely see that. But random island like St. Vincent and the Grenadines for poultry, I would have never guessed that. Really weird to me. This is a map of the electoral votes if every U.S. territory became a state. So, yeah, sadly, my state is going to be one to suffer, with Oregon losing one electoral vote. Same with California, Colorado, Montana, Minnesota, Illinois, North Carolina, and Alabama, then Rhode Island. Meanwhile, of course, we would have Puerto Rico with 6, and then the rest of these, I can't really tell which ones these are, but the rest of these have 3 now. So, yeah, we would actually have some more representation for the territories, but at the cost of losing representation for all these states, which would be quite interesting, considering I'm pretty sure most of these are blue states. So, yeah, maybe we should change this map a bit. If we were really wanting to make it balanced between blue and red, if we were to incorporate the territories, because yeah, looks like a good portion of these I would say are blue states. Like Oregon, I know definitely is. Same with California. Not sure about Colorado, Minnesota, and Illinois, but I definitely know Montana is a red state. Same with North Carolina, Alabama. Actually, now that I think about it, it really depends on these. If we have, like, if all of these are one state or the other, or one party or the other, then yeah, probably wouldn't be too balanced. 2 of them are red states and 1 of them is another blue state, then yeah, I would say it's fairly balanced. Pony, pony, ponul, pony. Polny. Kokyok Mitul. Yeah, I seriously have no idea what the fuck Poland and Turkey are doing with the name Pony. Like, it's literally pretty unanimous across all of Europe. Even the Arab countries can agree that it's Maher, some form of that. But then, yeah, there's Turkey and Poland with just the most random words. I don't know why. This is a map of every country where you must be a natural born citizen to become the president. And looks like, ironically enough, it's mostly for the Western Hemisphere. Like, you figure that the Western Hemisphere would be quite barren of this sort of rule, considering they were mostly former colonies, so you figure they wouldn't have that kind of restriction since most people are like descend of colonial people. But nope, you'd be wrong. It's actually, in fact, the Eastern Hemisphere that's quite barren of this rule because there's only a couple countries here and there where you have to be a native to or a natural born citizen, whatever that means, to be president. Burma, Myanmar, Indonesia, the Philippines, Syria, Belarus, Finland, Nigeria, Ghana. There's just a couple places dotted here and there. And then for the Western Hemisphere, there's a couple places where you don't have to be natural born. Canada, Greenland, even though it's more of a dominion, but still. Ecuador, Bolivia, Paraguay, there's a couple places here and there, but Canada's really the only major one that you would probably want to lead. But, this is a map of the time needed to earn 1 million euros, earning an average wage across Europe. So, yeah, UK, France, the Nordic countries, it's pretty manageable, it's pretty reasonable. But then Spain and Italy are pretty much like you would have to be working the same job for your entire career. For places like Poland, Lithuania, and Latvia, you pretty much have to work your entire life without ever retiring. Then in Eastern Europe, it basically becomes impossible. Ukraine with 230, Belarus with 177, Russia with 146, Turkey with 214. So yeah, basically just multiple lifetimes are needed to actually earn 1 million euros because the wage is that low. Oh, that's pretty insane. Oh, wow. I mean, even Slovenia has, what was that, say, 68 years? Yeah, 68 years, and they're kind of on the cross. Actually, it's kind of debatable whether they're part of the Balkans. You could kind of group them with Italy and Austria, too, but yeah, whatever. Still, it's quite insane, like, the divide. You can definitely see some of the remnants of the Iron Curtain. Some former Iron Curtain countries are pretty good, but most of the ones deep within the lines are still pretty bad. Like taking multiple lifetimes to earn 1 million euros, earning an average wage. That's insane. This is a map of Japan showing the equivalent population of US states to Japanese regions. So apparently Kyushu is equivalent to Illinois. This region in like southern tip of Honshu is Arizona. Shikoku is Connecticut. It's equivalent to Connecticut. This region around where like Kyoto and Osaka are is equivalent to Florida. Is the population just as crazy as Florida or something? New York and Wyoming for the very center of Honshu. The Tokyo metro area is California plus Oklahoma. Really, you just need... Like, California on its own is enough to make up a majority of the population, to the point where you pretty much only need a little addition like Oklahoma. Like, how much population do they even have? I don't even know, but... Wow, Oklahoma actually has 3 million people. Almost 4 million as of 2021. It's a lot more than I thought, to be honest. But then again, are they even counting the native reservations? I'm not sure, but I guess we'll see. Apparently, the very north of Honshu is equivalent to Washington and Vermont. And then Hokkaido is equivalent to Alabama. I don't know why they represent in black when the background is also black. What is Okinawa? Is it just like incorporated into Arizona? I don't know, but there's no label for Hawaii or... It's just Okinawa, sorry. I kept thinking in terms of, like, maybe you could have... I'm not sure. Is Okinawa equivalent to Hawaii? Because I always keep saying, like, Okinawa is basically the Japanese equivalent to Hawaii, Very culturally distinct region, but still is kind of like, a more tropical islander version of the mainland, Still, though, this is very interesting to see. I like seeing this, to be honest. My weeaboo side is very intrigued right now. This is a language map of Pakistan, which honestly looks quite chaotic. Got the Sindhi, Balochi, Punjabi, Hindko, which I've never even heard of. There's a lot that I've never even heard of. It got Pashto coming in from Afghanistan, and then Kuli and Tatki on the border with India, along with Marwari. This is really these are some really interesting names, but yeah, it looks like Urdu is, I would say, very kind of spread out. Honestly, I think it's kind of like an Indonesian situation where Urdu is mostly just used to unify. It's like a common language everyone in the country can learn. That way they can easily communicate with everyone, but their native languages are just all over the place in reality. So, yeah. This is a map of recorded UFO sightings between 1954 and 2005. I know most people probably can't read this since it's in Portuguese, but yeah, that's pretty much what this says. Of course, you know, you have quite a bit of... There's actually quite a bit here, mostly in the center and then near Argentina and Uruguay. But the big standout is this random province in the Amazon. Like, it's in northeastern Brazil. Are you sure you're not just seeing spaceships from French Guiana? Because I feel like that's what's happening. Although Amapá has 0, so maybe that's not the case. Or maybe just the fact that the spaceships fly south and not east. Or maybe just the fact that no one really lives in Amapá, even though Amapá is basically just Portuguese Guiana, which I've already kind of discussed in the video. But still, it's still kind of interesting to see this random place in the Amazon have so many UFO sightings. Of course, there's still quite a bit in like the very heavily populated areas over here, but still, I feel like a good portion of these, especially in northern Brazil, are just them seeing spaceships from French Guiana. Isn't French Guiana like supposed to be a huge spaceport for France? Yeah, I would say that's probably what's happening here. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Make sure to like, subscribe, keep up to date on the community tab, and join the Minecraft server if you can. Also, we have a sub goal for 500 subs where I'll be doing a parody of Yakko's World where I'll roast as many of the 50 states as I can. So make sure to sub for that. And anyways, I'll see you in the next video. Sayonara.